Okay, today I'm going to be going over how to set up the editor for cooking using the patch that was provided, and then setting up the automations for cooking your plugin. So I'm going to go ahead and start by installing the editor because at this time it's not installed. I'm going to act like this is a fresh install, like we've never done anything before. So let's go ahead and open up the Epic Store. Go into the library. I'm going to assume that you already have it. So we're going to go ahead and install. You can change your path to whatever it is that you want to do with, but for now, I'm just going to leave it the default path. And this will take a second. And actually, once you get all this set up, it's pretty easy to deal with. It's there's an install environment that I created that once you copy the files and create them for your plugin, it's pretty much a one-two click. But getting there, that's all the fun. So I figured I'd take the time to explain what it is and how it works. There's some very important nuances with the editor, at least for the cooking patch to work. And if you already have content in it that you've created, it's not going to work, so you're going to have to temporarily take it out. So I'll go over that in a second. But it takes a long time to verify, doesn't it? Okay, that's installed. Now, let's go ahead and check on something here. But what I'm going to check on is the mods and installed content in the game that didn't ship with it. And if you have anything in there, it's not going to generate content correctly when you run the editor cooking patch. So we got to make sure that this has nothing in there. Oh, looks stock to me. All right. If you haven't run TrainSim World before, you want to run this first. If not, you have run TrainSim before, go ahead and launch the editor. All right. now we're going to get into the cooking patch. So I have extracted mine, I've downloaded them, I should say, to the D drive. So the very first thing we're going to do is go in here and extract this folder, the TSW4 cooking folder. You want to extract it, and you want to take it to where your Trainsim editor is. So for me, it's under the C drive, program files, Epic Games, Trainsim World 4 mod, right? Select that, hit extract. Go ahead and replace the files. Okay, what we're going to want to do now is actually go into the editor program files. So here, Epic Games, Trainsim World 4 mod. That's where my editor lives. Yours may be in a different spot, but same process. So if you've already had the editor installed and you've already created content for your game, go in here, go under plugins. It's either going to be in here, or if you move to DLC like I usually do, it's going to be in here. So if your plugin is in here that you've created, go ahead and cut and paste it out of this directory so that way it's out of the editor for the time being. Don't delete it. We'll be putting it back in there, but just for now, take any custom content you created out of the editor plugin folder, and let's go ahead and run the generate batch file here. If you run the batch file with content in there, it's going to think that it included in the game, and it's not going to cook correctly. So the plugin that's in there won't ever compile. I learned this the hard way. Actually, when I was practicing to do this video yesterday, it came up and got me because I was like, why isn't this compiling? I know it works. Turns out I already had a copy of my plugin in the editor when I hit generate, and then it thought it just shipped with the game. So it's like, nope, you're not getting it. So that was frustrating. So I'll take and, figure some things out and comment on what I've learned, so that way other people don't have to learn it the same way I did. I'm not going to pretend to be the expert on this at all. I mean, that's definitely not it, but it's something I did figure out, something I did take the time to kind of understand a little bit. But, you know, Dovetail probably understands a lot more why things happen than we do. But for the time being, it kind of works around the issue. And this thing takes a little while to compile, so let's wait on it. Okay, it takes a little bit longer than a little while. The good news is you only have to do this once. And after this is done, there's a couple more steps to get the editor running, and then you can copy your content back into your plugins folder. I'll actually go ahead and do that because I have a plugin that I've already created, at least for this demonstration, that should um, allow us to compile, and I can go over the building environment and what you do there. But this actually has to complete first, which takes forever. Oh, look, there it is, saving asset registry. All right, when you see this particular message right here, you can go ahead and close this command window. Now, run the copy command, and just like that, it's done. So what I am going to do next is I have found that there are some missing plugins that are really old, like for TrainSim World 1, and without them, you kind of don't uh, you don't get the cook feature to work. So for me, I found out it was these two, and there really isn't anything in there. It's just a false plugin, but it does work. So there's really nothing in here. It's just directory structure and things like that. But the editor sees it and it's like, okay, and it just bypasses. So let's go ahead and extract this to the TS2 prototype folder under the editor. So if you look at it, here's my path to the editor right now. So we'll go under TS2 prototype, plugins, DLC, and then select folder, extract. Now that's done. Here is my horseshoe curve little plugin that I was working on just for demonstration purposes. I'm going to copy it. And this is where I told you to take your plugin out, right? Because we had to compile the asset registry. So now we go under Epic Games, Trainsimcz World 4, TS2 prototype, plugins, DLC. Put that in there. All right, good. Now, this plugin here, I really should include a template for this because it's a good idea. If you look, the standard plugin doesn't have all this information in it, namely this part, which I think is very important somehow, because without it, it didn't seem to want to show up in the game. So we'll go over that in a second. And I'll probably include like a template plugin for the plugin that you have. You just take your information and transplant it over. So getting back into it, now we got the editor environment set up. What I'm going to do, create a new file window, that, do this, just because it's easier to see. This is the pressure cooker that I have provided. This is my build environment. So I've got it in the zip file. Let's go ahead and extract all. So for me, it's going to be D pressure cooker. And I know that's a weird name. I just came up with it to be funny because it's cooking. And you have to get the path uh, created to have the same folder depth as the editor for the packing process to work. So very first thing that I do, or I would tell you to do, is just select all these, copy, and then paste. So you make a copy of them, so you always have a like an original copy. Go under here, cook content, make a copy of this guy. Okay, you're gonna see a pattern here. DLC files is how you define your DLC for your plugin. Make a copy of this guy. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. We'll not do anything with this here. Plugin manifest. This right here, I believe, is a type of plugin declaration that goes inside your pack file. I'm not really 100% sure what it does, but I know you have to have it. So let me copy of that too. Response files, this is where you tell Unreal Pack what to put in the pack file that you're going to generate. So now at this point, we're good. And you'll notice your plugin name is declared here, right? You're going to find out why in a second. I kind of put it there for a reason. So if you look, here's our plugin name. This is how I always format mine. You don't have to. You can call it whatever you want. This is how I always format mine. So your plugin name is, for me, it's Lig HSC Sandbox. So we copy that and we rename this directory. We're going to start at the cook content level. I'm just going to call it that. You'll notice, look, see, there's the path to the plugin. and then we change it here. And then underneath it, we have a content folder and nothing in it. That's good. This is what we want. All the way back to the top. DLC files. Let's change this here. And you know what? Let's not. Let's use Notepad Plus for this because I want to show you something. So if you select this in Notepad Plus, looks at how it highlights the text in green. Just do a Control F find, go to replace, and then do this. Boom. That's fixed. Name of our plugin. Let's just call it something special, right? Horseshoe Curve Sandbox. All right. Let's go back in here to our DLC files. That's done. Go back up a level. Let's go to plugin manifest. Let's rename this guy here. Edit him. Go into Notepad Plus. Open him up. Just like before. Just do that. Control F. Find and replace. It's already in there. So boom. That's done. So you look at it. It says this is going to be the final path. And if you look at the folder structure, this will all make sense. So this is the name of the plugin. This is where to put a description in there. You don't really have to put one in, but hey, why not, right? Horseshoe Curve Sandbox. This right here is also the name of your plugin. Always load. This is pretty good. So we'll save that. And go back to the top level, go into our response file. This is one of the most important files here. So we'll see this. So I'll just take this part out, take this part out, copy that to where it looks like that. Now let's go in, edit with Notepad Plus. There's only one thing here, so boom, put your plugin name in there. And another thing to do, we know it's on the D drive, so we'll change X to D. So this right here is the full path of your content cooking directory, right out to the very first top level folder. So if you look, cook content, it'll grab everything below this, which is what you want. So that's done. Next thing we're going to want to do is grab this guy here. Let's, sorry, sinuses are kind of not so good this morning. So let's go ahead and clean this up. Put that in there. And let's go ahead and clean this one up. Then in there. And then there's this one if you want to simulate timetables for your route. I'm not going to go over that one. Dovetail actually created a nice video for that the other day, but the command will be here. It's pretty easy to figure it out. You just basically put the path to your editor in there and then the path to the timetable you want to simulate as it would appear as the mount. So usually it's going to be like this right here, /scenarios/timetable without the uasset part. So won't go over that too much. So let's go in here. Let's edit this part first. This will do the actual cooking. So what I want to do is first off, your editor path here. So if you'll look, there's engine build batch files and the run UAT build command. So we want to find out the first part of that, right? So let's go ahead and grab our Trainsim World mod editor. See, /epic for me slash mod 4. Well, said that backwards, but you got it. So just highlight this as before, Control F, find replace. replace all. Okay, move along. You can see that it's replaced here. C:/program file /epic game /trainsim 4 mod /ts2 prototype. You see it's completed the command. And that's good. That's what we need. So it's going to pack it, it's going to cook it, it's going to ignore errors, it's going to be for Windows. There's a staging directory. So you want to make sure your staging directory, see it's x:/PressureCooker. You want to change this drive path to wherever yours is. So mine is d:/PressureCooker/stage. That's where my directory is. So if I look here under the pressure cooker, okay, well maybe it's not there, but it's okay, it'll create it. Doesn't matter. So again, we got to go in here to DLC plugin name. You're going to see a trend here. Copy that. Control F. Place. It's good. See, now it says DLC/lighthscs sandbox. And if you look at the plugin over here, you'll see that Trainsim World Mod, plugins, DLC, lighthsc sandbox right there. All right, so that's done. That command right there will actually cook the plugin. Now, this right here is the one that's a little bit more of a bugger. This is the one that does all the automation that I wrote. So just like before, you want to grab the editor path. So it's going to be, in my case, C:/program files, epic games, trainsim 4 mod. All right, so we're going to grab that. And because Notepad Plus jumps around, go Control F, replace this with that. Okay. And since we know the drive on here is x:/, we want to replace this with d:/ for me because that's where my drive is. All right. So you'll notice now it's D pressure cooker stage. And then this guy comes up again, your plugin name. All right. So you'll notice again, there's a trend here. Take this, copy it. It didn't work out so good. Okay. And you'll see that everywhere that value appeared now has been replaced. This technically should work at this point. Now, another point of consideration I would tell you to make is this is the location of your Trainsim World install right here. Like C minus C, or actually no, it's D program files x86 Steam apps common Trainsim World 4 Windows no editor TS2 prototype content DLC. You kind of get where this is going. So this is going to be where the pack file is generated. So you want to make sure this directory here before this TS2 prototype pack file, you want to make sure all this is where your Trainsim game lives. And this is going to compress it and it's going to create it. So at this point, everything should work. So let's go ahead and give it a try. And even though it's probably pointless to do so, I'm going to go ahead and open the editor because I put that plugin in there and I just want to make sure that it actually sees the plugin. Because who knows, maybe it doesn't. And we might wind up failing the cook command because the editor can't see it. So let's go in here. There it is. Oh, that's not good. It won't matter, but that's not good. There's a reason for that. This thing does. Where's my scenario? Where's my timetable for it? Oh, it's in there. It exists, it's just hidden. So let's go ahead and run the cook command. Now, if everything works out accordingly, this should cook everything inside that content folder, inside the plugin, and remove all the extraneous data and get it ready to go into the engine, create a pack file in the stage directory, and then we can then run the second batch file that will extract the pack file to the pressure cooker folder under cook content, and then it'll add those files and structures in, and it'll repackage it, throw it in the Trainsim folder, and your plugin will show up in the game. This part takes a minute, but the packaging part doesn't. Another little tip too, like earlier I said the timetable disappeared. If you find the timetable in the actual structure there, the actual directory structure in Windows, copy the file name and then create another object and then give it the exact same file name. It'll complain that there's already something there and ask you if you want to continue or not. Just hit no, and then your timetable will show back up. So it's kind of a weird bug, but that does work to get things back up and running. It can cause some issues when you're working in the editor. The files are still there, but they just can't be seen, and I'm not exactly sure why that is, but I'm sure that'll be fixed in later editor versions. But for now, that's kind of a workaround for it if you didn't know. And it'll stay there until you close the editor or it crashes, whichever occurs first. Again, beta software. You can't really be too upset about it. Okay, see, it's complaining about wastefulness, so it's going to work. Tells me that I'm lazy and I shouldn't have referred to other cook content, but I have to because I didn't create that route. Okay, so the stage director did create itself. You'll come in here, you'll see this. You don't have to worry about this, but this is a good indication of whether your file worked or not. See, this is 141 megs, so there's definitely something in there. So go back to the root level, and then let's go ahead and process this. All right, so now in theory, if I go into my Trainsim world folder and C, or not C, but D program files 86, Steam apps, common, Trainsim world 4, content, DLC, there it is, and it's 27 megs, so it's packed up real good. All right, so now I launch Trainsim world, my content should show up in the game. And there it is. Suppose I do have to select it first. See, that's all you got to do. Okay, well, it's kind of a lot, but that's all you got to do one time. The files that you created are going to be in here. So this right here, anytime you make changes to your plugin in the editor, you run this right here first just to cook the changes you made, and then you run this one second, and then it shows up in a game. And if you want to simulate your timetable, you would fill this one out. You know what? Just for giggles, let's go ahead and do this one because why not? Okay, so where's my editor path? Oh, I closed it. Very nice. All right, so there's my editor path here. Define replace. Replace all. All right, so my timetable for me is going to be right here. DLC. You know what? Let's just skip this, shall we? That. That in here. So for me, it's under scenarios. So that did not work out like I wanted it to. So let's not do that. Okay, so grab scenarios. And then here's my scenario file right here. So just grab this. Don't take the UAsset part. And then just put it right here. And save it. Then it's going to, that's all you have to do there. So then if I go in here and I run this simulate timetable, this will start up and start working. This takes an excessive amount of time, truly excessive amount of time. So if you're going to simulate the timetable, I would recommend you get all your services built first, then simulate the timetable because it takes upwards of 20 plus minutes. So now it's running. I'm just going to show you that it starts running and what to expect here. So I'm not actually going to simulate it, but that's how you would simulate it. So that's all there is.